Right, staying with the ANC and its politics, who will be nominated to the party's National Executive Committee ahead of its elective conference this December? The party is expected to make that announcement today in a few minutes' time, in fact at 2 o'clock. Today's announcement also comes at a time when Cyril Ramaphosa, the president, finds himself in a crisis. An independent panel has found he may have a case to answer to on the Pule farm and the theft that happened there. Reporter Pule Letshwiti-Jones is at Luthuli House in Johannesburg for ahead of the announcement, just to give us an update on what he's seeing there. Pule, it's what, about 50 minutes time or so, actually 45 minutes time to that announcement, and obviously those who are expected to make the announcement, particularly the head of the ANC's elections committee, should be expecting some questions there about the developments around the president now.
Yeah, definitely, Masiko. I mean, a lot has happened in the past 24 hours. Just after that report looking into the Pule scandal was handed over to Parliament. But we continue to get reaction, and just in regard to this matter, we're speaking to the ANC's national spokesperson, Pule Mabe, to give us an update on this. He joins me now on eNCA this afternoon. Mr. Mabe, thank you very much for joining us. Now, like just I've said, a lot has happened in 24 hours, and there's a lot of questions. Many are asking questions, but particularly to get into this, have you spoken to the president? What is the mood like in the organization?
Well, I don't think that it's really an issue of whether I spoke or did not speak to the president. It's neither here nor there. We are dealing with a formal organizational process now. We have got a meeting of the NEC that is scheduled to sit this evening at 19 hours. Our officials have already met upon the release of the report, and they have now convened an urgent special NEC. We will hear when we get there what issues they want to place before the NEC, so that we can then discuss, and upon discussion we'll be able to formulate a position of the ANC, which we will be able to communicate out to the public.
So is this a concern within the organization? Because just yesterday, Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma was saying that the president should step aside, and amid the release of the report, is this a growing concern within the structures of the ANC, particularly at national level as well?
Well, Mama Nkosazana or any other cadre, as they speak, they are expressing their own views. This is their own individual views, because the ANC is an organization of process. It will have to sit, discuss, and formulate a position of the ANC. So it's a bit unfortunate that we would have had cadres expressing themselves outside that platform of the NEC, because they are members of the National Executive Committee anyway. No one will take away the views held by cadres of the movement. If a cadre of the organization carries a particular view, the National Executive Committee is a platform for them to register their views. No one is going to take away their right. I have seen cadres of the ANC in the years that I've served in the NEC, enjoyed that privilege of serving in the NEC. I've seen cadres of the organization bring about even the most uncomfortable issues and having them discussed. And I saw the organization rising to unite at the conclusion of those meetings, regardless of what positions they would have arrived at, because the ANC is bigger than all of us. And its unity is sacrosanct, quite important to the organization. So the ANC is able to live beyond issues, no matter how weighty they were. The ANC has survived a number of situations that many thought that will not be able to sail through. We have seen presidents come and go, presidents being recalled, Secretary General in this instance being on step aside, ordinary members of the NEC who have witnessed all of that. So anyone out there, whether in the markets, in the organization, who looks at this, must be able to say the African National Congress, when tested, has been able to provide leadership to the people of this country.
And this is probably a big test, which leads to my question to say that obviously pressure is mounting to the organization to deal with this matter. The president will update the nation today. Will this be before the NEC meeting or after the NEC? And if he were to resign, would this also still put pressure on the organization to then field in an interim president to bring upon stability in the country?
Well, Pule, it would be unfortunate for me to want to preempt or predict what will happen, whether it is by way of the address that is scheduled to take place later today. We are going to our own NEC. It is fair that we are allowed the space of that NEC. When we are done with the NEC, the Treasurer General, on behalf of the Secretary General's office, responsible to convey and communicate decisions of the African National Congress, will be able to communicate what is the decision and stand of the ANC on this matter. And our appeal to members of the NEC and all other members of the ANC is that they give the necessary space to the leadership of the ANC, to the structure called the National Executive Committee, to reflect on this. And we can assure society that members of the ANC reflect on issues openly. Our NEC is quite dynamic. It's robust. So cadres will reflect on their views. The decision that will arrive at will be one that will be able to unite and bring the organization together and affirm to the people of South Africa our commitment to be able to provide leadership to all of them.
This meeting, firstly, will it be held virtually or physically? And secondly, I'm here because I actually want to establish the mood as well within the organization as to what it's like. This matter, of course, many saying that it has brought the party into disrepute, but others as well saying that the president is under pressure to actually pen down to the resignation letter and resign and step aside from the organization. You are just about 2 weeks away from the national conference as well. Do you think that you can still survive these next couple of days? Do you think that you are not in trouble, or you are in trouble and under pressure to deal with this matter, and that you want to ensure that you can also inspire voters' confidence leading into 2024? Because this matter has of course a dark cloud over the organization, and it's just a big trouble for the organization as well.
Well, Pule, I must admit that any issue that presents itself negatively in the public, involving the ANC or its own leaders, even the matter of Pule, does affect the brand ANC. We have spoken about just how much this issue affects the credibility and standing of the African National Congress. We have made those admissions. You see, the difference between the ANC and many other organizations is that the ANC is quick to admit where certain things are affecting its own standing. We have made those admissions. We have not been afraid to do so. But admitting that this affects our brand and all of that meant that we needed to develop one consistent message on how we communicate on this. While we're still awaiting for the Integrity Commission to come and brief the NEC on their own engagements with the president, then we are confronted with the release of this Section 89 report. It now means that we have to develop an overall plan on how we manage the message of the ANC out in the public, and assure society that the ANC is very much alive to reality, that the ANC, in all of the steps it takes, it will ensure that those steps work to consolidate its own unity, enhance its ability and capability to provide leadership to the rest of society. That's what we want to really come about as having done. So our sitting today will be able to provide that kind of a direction. You see, if I hold certain views as a member of the National Executive Committee, I must be courageous enough to use the platform of the NEC to deposit those views without fear or favor. At the end of it all, when decisions of the ANC are ultimately communicated, regardless of my original views in the meeting, I must be able to say, I stand by this direction that my organization has taken.
All right, thank you very much. That's the national spokesperson of the ANC, Pule Letshwiti-Jones, just giving us an update regarding the stance taken by the organization with this particular matter that has rocked them in relation to the Phala Phala report having been submitted before Parliament, and of course the expectations just a couple of hours from now before that special NEC meeting will be sitting.